Hello everyone, welcome to Shop Talk Live. Sorry about the delay getting started. We had a few technical issues with one of the cameras and I had to reboot the camera and reboot the computer to get going today. But anyhow, welcome to the show. This is a new live stream format that we're doing here on Coturnix Corner. It's going to be a little bit different than what you're normally used to seeing on Tuesdays. And basically what we're doing is hosting a stream of live streams, or a series of live streams where we'll be doing, different hands-on projects, demonstrations, and discussions and whatnot on various topics. But today's show, what we're going to be building is a transport cage or a sorting cage, whatever you want to call it, a carrying cage. This cage is probably one of the most used pieces of equipment in my quail room. I use it all the time for sorting birds, or if I got to carry birds out to the aviary or out back, to get processed. These are the cages that I use. The one that we're going to be building today is a 34-inch wide cage by 12 inches deep. There are two compartments, a couple different doors, different door for each compartment. Also, this cage has a raised floor in it, so when you put the birds in, the birds aren't actually on the ground, so they're not standing in their own manure, especially if they're in here for a certain amount of time. So what I want to do is go ahead and bring you guys in a little bit closer. We'll go over some of the tools and the materials you need. I'll give you all the cut sizes. Let me make sure that my audio is still good here. I'll give you all the measurements and whatnot for cutting, and you guys, should be able to build this cage real simple. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time, going over every detail on building the cage because that would just take too much time. But I do have a cage, pre-cut, and we go ahead and get it assembled and show you guys that. So let me set this back here. Switch into the zoom cam. Okay, basically, what you're going to need to start out with is some 1-inch by 2-inch welded wire. This is all stuff that I had left over from some of my cage building projects. Let's see what else here. But anyhow, the two sides are going to measure 34 inches wide and I believe 7 inches tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 inches tall. And you're going to need 2 of those. I'm going to leave them out because I'm going to need them right away. And then for the bottom, that's going to be 34 inches wide by 12 inches. And for the top piece, 34 inches wide by 12 inches also. So they're going to match. Basically, and then for the sides, real quick, I'll show you on the sides, on the door. I'm not sure if that's a door or a side. The sides are 12 inches by 7 inches high, except for the center divider. The center divider is 12 inches by 6 inches, and I'll show you why when we get to installing that. And then the doors, you got doors which measure 10 inches by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 inches by 7 inches. So as far as tools, tools for this are all pretty simple. It's going to need some J-clip pliers, some J-clips, and electrician's climbs are pretty handy, and also a tape measure for measuring everything out. So let's go ahead and just dive right into this because I don't want it to run too long and we can't get to your questions. So basically what you'll do is after you've got all your pieces cut out, we'll lay them out and then we'll start assembling them. If you guys are having any problems seeing that, just let me know. I'm trying to keep an eye on it while I'm doing this. But basically, you're going to take one of your long front or back pieces, stand a side up next to it, and throw a J-clip on. And then the J-clips, they just fit inside the pliers like that. and then you just put them on the two pieces that you want to clamp together, squeeze it, and they will clamp nice and tight. And once we get a couple pieces on here, it'll go a lot smoother because I don't have to hold stuff up while I'm doing this. But this cage, guys, is, to me, is one of the most used pieces of equipment here in the shop. I mean, I've got some older ones that I've done. I didn't bring them in the house here, but they had the flat bottom on them, and while they worked out pretty good, it just I got tired of the birds standing in their manure, and so I just came up with this design. And I missed that one. Yeah, you got to make sure too when you're putting the J-clip around the wire that you go around both pieces of wire, or you'll just end up clamping one like I just did and it won't hold together. Okay, so we got our two sides on. Now we'll go ahead and get our center. We've got 34 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and measure. That should be 17 inches will be half. So I'll have to go right at 18. And what you want to do is you want to hold this center piece. The center divider needs to stay up off the bottom 1 inch. Now it's most likely going to drop down when I clamp it, but once we get the other side on, it'll actually help to hold it up. Okay, so we've got the back and all the sides on, so I'll go ahead and I'll flip it around. And we will grab our other piece. Well, I might have to put my jacket on. It is cold out here today. I think our temperature is supposed to get down into the low 30s tonight, so I'm gonna be cold. Okay, now our top piece, our center piece, I want to make sure that it's lined up the same. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that looks good. And now we're upside down, so I got to make sure I clamp that in the correct position, or we're going to flip it over and find out that one side's on the bottom and the other side's on the top. So, and guys, I'm not clamping this down like I normally would. I'm just kind of tacking it together, you know, to save time. But it will still hold it together good enough to where you guys will get the idea. Yeah, I apologize for not going live yesterday, which we had planned, but I had an issue with my truck and I had to spend most of the day tearing my truck apart and getting it going again. It's actually not going yet. It's an issue with the four-wheel drive, and I've got to order parts. They're already ordered, but I've got to wait for them to come in so I can get them installed. Okay, now the bottom piece, let me see if, the bottom piece is 1/2 inch by 1 inch coated hardware cloth. And you want to make sure that when you install it, there is a top and bottom to this, at least in my eyes there is. You want to make sure that the pieces, the wires that are running front to back, that are 1/2 inch apart, are on the top side. That's what your quail will be walking on. If I put this side up, there's going to be, these wires are an inch apart. So your quail have a wider gap that their feet need to span. But anyhow, you install that with the correct side up or down, whichever way you look at it. Anyhow, it's towards the cage. See if you can see that in there. Sometimes it helps just get everything positioned before you start putting J-clips on. And what I'll do is I'll just tap this too real quick. And these projects, guys, using these, this leftover wire and, J-clipping together, that scale cage that I showed you last week, this thing here, it's built in the exact same fashion. So basically all you need to do is decide what side cage you want and, cut out your pieces and wire them together. So I love this working with this wire because there's so many different projects that you can put together using it. Yeah, I see Mark from Rochelle Farm says, I found that it's helpful to have a vacant pen for injured quail for them to heal in. That is, actually, I do that with this cage. If I don't have an empty cage that I can use, I'll just throw them in one side of this cage. It's plenty big enough for, a single bird. And, put them in there so they can heal up. But this transport cage, I didn't really come up with the idea. Back when I was younger, my father raised rabbits, and they had these things, we call them carrying cages, and it was for transporting our rabbits to rabbit shows. So I remembered that, and I'm like, that would work out really well in my quail operation. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out, guys, too, what day of the week we want to do these live streams, or if we even want to continue to do them. I'm really kind of depending on you guys to give me, ideas for what you think the best day of the week would be. And because I want as many people to be able to watch it as possible without, interrupting their daily life schedule. I thought Fridays was going to be no good because people are getting out of work and they're coming home, they got stuff that they want to do, especially the people on the East Coast, or I'm sorry, on the West Coast. 7 o'clock our time, or East Coast time, is like, I think 4 o'clock in the afternoon over there, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon over there, something like that. So that's another thing, if you guys could give me an idea on what days you think would work the best for doing this, or even if you think we should continue to do this. Like I say, this is all an experiment. We're just kind of, seeing how well this works out, and if we got enough projects that we can actually do. I mean, I do have a whole lot of ideas. A lot of my videos that are on the YouTube channel, we can, go in depth on, doing the same thing we did in the video, but be a little bit more in depth on it. Now these center ones, when you're trying to put a J-clip through these 1/2 inch by 1 inch wire, sometimes you got to stick the plier in there and then twist it, and it's going to bend your wire a little bit. But don't worry about that, because you can, like, I don't know if you can see that bend right there. Let me see if I can get in close enough. Where is it? This is kind of bent there a little bit for me putting pliers in. You just take a pair of pliers or Kleins or whatever you got and squeeze it back together. So, okay, that is our 2 sections, our sides, our bottom, everything's installed. We got our divider in the middle. Now we can go ahead and install our top. And it's basically done in the exact same fashion, just clip it. Now, I already installed one door on this just to save some time, but I am going to cut one out real quick on camera just to show you. This is actually going to go a lot faster than I thought, so that works out good because we can jump right into the questions and you know, save a lot of time. I don't have to bore you guys with building a cage. Yeah, it's funny. It seemed like when I built the the prototype, it took me a lot longer than this to get as far as I am, but I guess it's because I didn't have everything pre-cut. So I had to, you know, take a measurement, go cut the piece, and then I'd assemble it, and then I'd go take another measurement and cut that piece. I'll just put one on each end just to hold these side pieces. Can you guys see everything that I'm doing okay? I'm not really watching what the camera's doing. And let me know, like I said, if there's any technical issues like with the cameras or whatnot. Okay, so I've got a door already installed. I don't know if you guys can see that. We've already got one door installed. And what we're going to do is cut out this side here and install our second door. What I did, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but I measured the exact same size as the other hole, and I brought it over here. So basically what I did was I came in 4 inches from this side and made a mark, and it takes up let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, I believe. It's hard to see with that. Yeah, 6 spaces. And then the width is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8 spaces. And this piece, the door is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's an inch longer than our cutout. And it's also an inch longer than our width of the door. And the reason for that is when your door closes, let me show you on this other one. When your door closes, you want the door to hit up against the metal so it can't, you know, swing inside the cage. It also gives you something to, you know, either fasten to the 2 pieces of wire to hold the door closed. What I use is on the back side of the cage, I've got some small bungee cords. I just clip one permanently on this side, and then I stretch it over and clip it to the other side to hold it in place. So normally when I cut out all this wire, guys, I use a angle grinder. It's got a diamond tip blade on it, but that thing's so loud I'm not gonna fire that up on camera. I'll just go ahead and use the clients to cut these. I think I went too far on one of them. One more here. Okay. So we got our door cut out. Now if you are using clines, you're going to end up with some sharp points around the edges of your door. I would suggest taking, you know, either a grinder and grinding them down flat, or if you don't have an angle grinder, you could always use a file. Just something so when you reach in there, you're not going to cut your arms up. Now when you're installing this top piece, let me see if I can turn this up. This back side here, this wire here is going to be your hinge, and that's going to be clipped or J-clipped right to this top side of the door. But you want to make sure that you have an overlap on this side and an overlap on this side. There'll be a 1-inch overlap on each side, and then you'll have a 1-inch overlap down here. So let me go ahead and clip that real quick. And guys, the reason I made this cage 34 inches wide is my automotive drip trays that I use underneath my cages as manure trays are 36 inches wide. So I can take this and I can set a tray down, set this inside the tray, and it will catch the manure. So okay, that's it. And then basically all you got to do is go around and, you know, kind of bend the wire to where everything's nicely in shape. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's your cage. There is your bottom, which is recessed, so the birds aren't sitting on the ground. It's a quick, easy build, you know, something that if you've got, you know, leftover wire. I was also looking on Amazon earlier today. Let me go back to the wide shot. I was also looking on Amazon earlier today. You can buy, instead of having to buy a whole roll of wire, you can buy like 5-foot long pieces, and it, you know, by the foot it will actually cost you more for the piece, but it'll save you from having to buy a, you know, a 25 or 50-foot roll or whatever. Oh, my OCD's kicking in. I see a spot here that wants a clip. But now I'm happy. But anyhow, that's pretty much it. That is this week's project. It is a simple transport cage, sorting cage, hospital cage, whatever you want to call it. But it's just another piece of equipment that you can add to your coil operation, and, you know, hopefully make things a little bit easier on you in your quail endeavors. Okay, let me throw that down there. I don't think I forgot anything about that. Clips around the edges. Okay, thank you, J.O. Let me go ahead and drag my chair up here, that one up here, and I will get on a different camera and we'll see what you guys have for questions and whatnot. All right. Have we had any glitches tonight that I did not notice while the questions were going in? I don't see anything. Rochelle Farm's asking if I tried the small hog rings. Actually, I do have hog rings, and normally, you know, I've got the hog ring pliers and a bag of hog rings, a couple of bags of hog rings. A lot of times what I'll do is use the hog rings for the hinges. Another thing I used for hinges before is the small zip ties. Just take a zip tie, wrap it around there, and, you know, zip it closed, but leave a little bit of slop in there, and that seems to work pretty well too. I've done that for, you know, doors on my cages, doors on these things. So I guess there's a lot of stuff that you guys could use. I'm just, you know, giving you a basic idea on, you know, what I did and what you can do if you want to build that project. So let me go ahead and get back up to the top here. If you guys got any questions, go ahead and post them now. Also, if you have any thoughts or ideas on, the content of the hands-on show here, the Shop Talk show, content that you would like to see, or days of the week that you think would be better to do it than Friday. Right now, we kind of settled on Friday at 7:30 p.m. But like I said earlier, I had issues with my truck, so I had to cancel yesterday. So until, you know, we come up with a better day, we'll go ahead and keep it on Friday. Wow, a lot of comments so far. Let me get back up to the top of the comments and we'll jump right into those. Tony's in the house he says hi from Toronto. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us. Travis says hello from northern Minnesota. Hello, Travis. Valerie Cox says hi from snowed in Connecticut. I did see that we had a good nor'easter blow up the coast, so I hope you guys are, doing all right from that. You're not all snowed in. Tim's here from Michigan. Welcome, Tim. Jelly Brizendine says hello from North Carolina. Go Tigers. Tracy's in the house from Pennsylvania and I don't know what that is. That a little face blowing cold air or something? James is in the house. Hi from Maryland. James says mixed signals. Is this for 7 p.m. or 7? I don't know. You got me confused with mixed PM, or it's probably mixed PM 7 or 7:30. If you're talking about the little bit of a delay we had when we started it, I had to reboot the computer, had to reboot one of the cameras. I don't know why it froze up on me and wouldn't do anything. So, oh yeah, there he says mixed signals when we start at 7 or 7:30. Danny says, hi, all snowed in here in Nova Scotia. Got some shoveling to do. All right, Klaus is in the house. He made it. I didn't know if he was going to be able to stay up late enough or not. Henriette's in the house. Hello, everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful week. Henriette is one of our moderators. She moderates over on the Coturnix Corner live show and also here on the Shop Talk show. Lauren's in the house. She is another one of our moderators. Hello from chilly, -2 degrees, Pennsylvania. Wow, that's crazy. Bags of Love's in the house. Hello, all from North Carolina. Mark from the La Rochelle farm says hello, people. Carolina Girl says hello from North Carolina. Yeah, let's see, we got 79 people in the house. We already got 1 thumbs down. Thank you very much. La Rochelle farm, Mark says fresh 16 inches of snow today here in Connecticut. Yeah, we had a little bit of an issue on Coturnix Corner Facebook group page. I'm not going to go into the details on it, but it was really a pain. It kind of threw the whole weekend off for me, actually. Junie says hello, everyone. Carolina Girl says love your cages. La Rochelle starting on ours tomorrow. Cool. Wake up, Terry. You're late to the late. Yep, I am late. A. Jones says hi, all checking in from the northeast tip of Ohio. Welcome. Everyday Oil Mommies says hit that like button. And hello from sunny 6 degrees Sacramento, California. Nice. 32 visitors and 21 likes. We are up to 77 visitors and 46 likes and 1 thumbs down. Somebody's got a problem with us, I guess. Harley's Game Birds and More says hello, everyone. Hello, Harley. Rochelle Farm says, by the way, that's Terry playing the guitar. No, I don't think so. I play more Southern rock. Actually, I have 2 guitars. I pick up the acoustic on occasion. I haven't broke the electric out in months and months. It's been quite a bit. Lauren says good evening all. Peg says hello from California. Joy says hello all from sunny Western Oregon. Back to rain tomorrow. Tonight is supposed to be our coldest night. Hi, HP Murray's in the house. Hello, HP. Hello, everyone. Cold on the ridge tonight. I can imagine. HP's up there in Georgia, so it's probably pretty chilly. We're calling for, I think, a low of 33 degrees tonight, which for us is unheard of. Kristen B says hello from Montreal. -14 degrees Celsius today. Wow, that's chilly. Donna Southwood says hello, everyone. Exciting for these lives. Cool. Klaus is speaking in French. I don't know what he's saying. Michael says, I think it's Michael. Is that Michelle? Michael, I guess. Hello, everyone. It's a cool 35 degrees Fahrenheit in Midlands of South Carolina. All right. Peg's finally got a question. I was wondering when we were going to get to some questions. Peg says, sometimes people refer to certain colors by initials. Do all colors have the initials? And can you list the initials and what they mean? If you're talking, you know, like EB, you know, that's another name for your Tibetans, your extended browns. Depending on how many genes they're carrying, it's either going to be Tibetan or Rosetta. Some of the other ones, what are some of the other ones? I know exactly what we're talking about. I'm having a brain fart here. J.L. Murphy says, hi Terry from Southeast Georgia. I'm sure somebody will post what they are. Klaus says, French isn't my strong one. JB says hello. I can speak French, but no way can I write it. Reading it so-so. Okay, got a lot of French, so I'm just going to skip right over the French stuff because I don't understand it. Here we go. A French question. Why do foods get a female or a male article? No idea what that means. Sorry about that. Carolina Girl says, recommendation on a book about illnesses and cures for quail. To be honest with you, I don't know of any books out there. I guess you know, do a search on a Google search or maybe go to Amazon and see if they've got something there. I'm going to say 99% of the stuff that I have questions about, I just, you know, do a search online or talk to, you know, some of the other breeders. You know, they usually help out pretty good. But as far as a hardcover book, I don't have any that I could recommend. Rochelle Farm says, sorry to say, but one cure for a sick quail in my book. Actually haven't really had a sick quail. Injured quail are more common. Yeah, I'm the same way. I have a very strict culling program here. Lauren says, haha, I'm excited for it to hit 30 later this week. Maybe it'll be a heat wave. Okay, everybody's talking about different languages. Anthony Mann says, factory farming is the absolute most disgusting thing. I don't know of any factory farmers. Unless you're talking about like big poultry houses and whatnot, but you know, that when you're buying your chicken or whatnot at the grocery store, well, guess where it's coming from. So they are needed in the country. Rochelle Farm said, oh, that's Carolina Girl. One thing I found helpful is to have a vacant pen for injured quail for them to heal. Yeah, I think we mentioned that earlier. But yeah, that's another thing that these little cages can be used for. Like a hospital cage. Carolina Girl says, we are newbies and want to learn as much as possible before we order eggs. It's a very good idea. You know, learn as much as you can because that, especially when it comes to ordering eggs and hatching eggs, you don't want to have a bad experience right out of the gate. I know a lot of people that were totally turned off. You know, they got either a bad hatch rate or, you know, no hatch at all because of a bad incubator, or they get information online. You know, some people disseminate information that might not be the best for your birds or for you to learn from. So yeah, learn as much as you can. I would recommend talking to breeders that have been into it for a long time. Check out the Coturnix Corner Facebook group page. Check out Coturnix Quail Colors and Genetics, I think it's called. There's a few other, good channels out there where you can learn a lot about, go in there, ask questions, and learn as much as you can before you, you actually order your quail. Kevin Baker says, Terry, question, do you use smooth steel rod on your corners to give reinforcement? Not on these small cages like this, but Let's see if I can point it out behind. Actually, I don't know if you can see it because of the feeders. Oh yeah, this cage right here, if you look right here, there's a steel rod. I think it's 3/16. That is clamped to the bottom of this front face on the egg roll-out cages, because if you don't put that in there to kind of stiffen it up a little bit, that wire can give a little bit, and sometimes the birds attempt to, crawl underneath the wire. I've actually had some birds in my older cages actually get out at that point, but on these all-wire cages, yeah, I reinforce it with a piece of steel. Tim says, how do you get the wire so flat? You just, work it a little bit. It's pretty forgiving. Even if you bend it too far, you can just, bend it back. But the hardest part for me is like when I'm doing the big cages, I'll cut the wire off the roll and it's got a big curve in it. And before I start assembling the cages, I'll, flatten it out the best I can. I usually start right in the center. I'll give it one reverse bow in the center, I guess you'd call it, and then I'll work my way out from there. Joy says, I still have my carrying cage from showing rabbits. There you go. Yeah, I'm sure, Joy, that the rabbit cages, most of them have, that the raised floor, so the manure falls through. A lot of them also have a metal tray that, snaps right on the bottom, or they have like springs that they hold the bottom pan on. At least they did back in the day. Lauren, I'm glad you mentioned that, Lauren, about the cornstarch. Last week, somebody asked me a question, last week Friday, what I do for birds that have foot injuries and whatnot, how to stop the bleeding. And I believe I said I use baking soda. It's not baking soda, it's cornstarch. So I hope somebody didn't go out and buy some baking soda to put their birds' feet in. Steve Foote says, hello from Greenwood, Arkansas. In the process of building my first cage, and I'm going to order my first batch of eggs to hatch. I'm excited about getting started. That's great. Yeah, get everything you can prior to getting your eggs. Make sure you got your incubator set up. Make sure you got, a brooder set up. Make sure you've got cages ready. That way there's no surprises, or you're not rushing around at the last minute, trying to get some. Lauren says, I love the idea of shop talk chats. A scheduled live chat makes more likely to watch. LOL. I don't often take the time to sit and watch the YouTube videos. Yep, I thought about that. And I was thinking about that last week after we did the live stream. We were talking more about it. And I'm like, I'm doing a live stream that could actually be a video for the YouTube channel. So I thought, people are probably thinking, why doesn't he just do a build video, put it on the channel? But I don't know. I thought, doing hands-on projects and stuff in a live stream or in a live situation would be a lot more interesting than just sitting there reading questions. It seems to me that every channel out there, I'm going to go as far as saying every channel out there does the exact same thing when it comes to their live streams. They open up the live stream, they make a few announcements, and then they sit for the next few hours answering questions. Yeah, I mean, that can be exciting, if you want to have a rag too, I guess we'd call it in ham radio, but I was just thinking that it'd be a little bit more entertaining and exciting to actually see something be done or built, and then you can still do the talk afterwards, which like what we're doing now. But that's what I'm reaching out to you guys for ideas for this thing, because I don't know where this thing's going from here. If it works out and you guys are enjoying it, we'll continue to do it. But I don't want to hold live streams every week and I get burned out or you guys get burned out watching them. So I mean, you can pretty much right now go and watch a live stream almost every night of the week on Coturnix quail. So, there's got to be something else out there that's a little bit different than, the stuff that's going around now. Mark says, these pliers look a lot nicer than the cheap set I use for the J-hooks. What did I do with them pliers? I mean, they're actually not really that fancy. I think I spent like 11 or 12, maybe $15 for them on Amazon. If you're doing a lot, like when I was building all these cages, my hands get really sore using these. I saw one guy had one, it's like an automatic one. You load a clip into it and you go along and just clip, 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 clip. You don't have to load the J-clips. That would be nice, but I don't build enough cages to warrant spending that kind of money. Oh, not talking to me. Victoria Taylor says, I've ordered my first batch of eggs. Super excited. Great, glad to hear it. I hope you have a good hatch. I just had one hatch that started yesterday and finished up today. Did really well, like 90% hatch. 90% of the eggs that were fertile hatched. I ended up taking about 40% of non-fertile eggs out. And that was basically like a test hatch just to make sure that, you know, my fertility, I got a bunch of young males that are just starting to breed, and I just want to make sure that they're doing their job, so I usually do a test hatch. J.L. Murphy says they are the heavy duty pliers. Yeah, I don't know if these are considered the heavy duty ones or not, but I've had them for a while and they're holding up just fine, so. Lauren says to Mark, if you're used to the cheap ones, upgrade will change your life. They're so much easier to use. Yeah, and I don't know the difference in cost between the cheap ones and the better ones. J.L. Murphy said something about cost. But yeah, anything to make your job easier. Mark asked Terry, have you tried the small hog ties in place of the J-hooks? Did you notice any advantages? Here's the problem I have. I'm going to show you real quick. The problem I have with the hog rings is when I get them, they've got a little bit of a bend in them. You can see that the top one is bent over opposite of the bottom one. The problem that I'm having, and maybe it's just these cheap pliers, is it's hard for me to get them set in the pliers, but they don't close. This one, now watch, that one made a liar out of me. It closed perfect. But a lot of times I'll use them and they'll pop out of the pliers, or they will crimp and hit each other. So what I've been doing is I take a bunch of these hog rings and I'll take a hammer and I'll just flatten them out just a little bit. That keeps them in the pliers, you know, for me a lot easier, and it clamps down all the way like it's supposed to. So I like the J-clips. I've been using them since I was a kid. I mean, we built all our own rabbit cages, and I've used J-clips all my life, so that's just kind of my preference. Mark said, when I purchased the cheap set of pliers, I never expected to build as much stuff as I have. It would be worth getting a good set. Yeah, it is, and even the good sets aren't that expensive. J.L. Murphy says the hog rings leave too loose a fitting. Yes, I've noticed that. And the reason I bought the hog rings was for the doors, thinking that the J-clips were closing down too far and wasn't allowing the door to, free fall on itself. 'Cause I don't know if you guys have noticed, all my cages that I built, the doors are hinged at the top, and that was done for a reason. If I'm working in a cage, sometimes it's a pain because the door wants to drop down while you're in there working on the cage. But if you're working on a cage and you got a door that swings out sideways, or a door that swings, is hinged on the bottom and swings forward, if you don't get it closed all the way, or you walk away from it for a second, the birds can jump out. And I've had that happen before. So I just went to all top hinged cages, and yeah, it works just fine for me. Lauren says, I use rubber stripping for car doors on the edges of my cages to protect from the sharp edges. I'll see if I can post the link. I do too. As a matter of fact, right here, if I can do it without, well, I'll just bring the end over here. I ordered this stuff on Amazon. It's rubber, and you can see everything's backwards when I'm looking at the camera. But anyhow, it's split to where you can just slide this over the cage. And I used to put it all the way around the doors. Anymore, I just put it on the bottom, because that's where it seems that, I rest my arm when I go in there. So I think you told me this before, JL. I use the report binder clip. Yeah, I would think that would work. Okay, Lauren posted the link for Amazon. Says this stuff works great. It has little metal strips inside so it crimps tight to the cage. Easy to cut too. Cool, I might even try that out. JL Murphy says it clips around the edges. Okay, the stuff she does. James says, presume the wire comes in rolls. How often do you flatten it out? I flatten it as I take it off the roll. What I do is, I'll kind of show you real quick with some metal. Just pretend that this is a roll of wire. Let me flip cameras real quick. All right, pretend this is a roll of wire. I'll take the wire and I'll pull it off the roll, but then I'll lay the roll down, and then I'll get behind the roll and I push it like this, flattening it out as I go. And it actually works pretty good. It flattens it out. Another thing that works out really well is you can push out enough wire, like say if you got to push out 36 inches of wire, then I'll take a block of wood and I'll put it behind the roll, and that keeps the roll from rolling back up, and then I just get on the other side and cut the wire, and that's worked pretty well for me. So yeah, that's how I flatten it out. And then once I cut it, it's still going to have a little bit of a bow to it. I'll take it over and I lay it on my table saw and flatten it out prior to assembling the cage. Christian B says, someone know where I can buy manure trays in Canada? Check your auto parts store. I think pretty much every auto parts store carries them. Not every, but the majority of them do. At least they do here in the States. So I would think that if they're selling the stuff here in the States, that they would do the same thing up there in Canada. JL Murphy says, I love these project chats. Okay, that's cool. That's good. Lauren's telling me no glitches that I've noticed. Great. That's another thing, guys. I mean, out here in my shop, I don't have a hardwire to my router, so I've got to do everything by Wi-Fi. When I'm hardwired, I'm getting just under 750 megabits per second, and when I go to Wi-Fi, it drops down to about 400 megabits per second. And for live streaming, with all the cameras that I have hooked up, I'm at the bare minimum right now to upload to YouTube. And I was talking last week about changing my latency, which is the amount of time that if I say something, the slower the latency, the faster you guys see it. So like right now we're on like a 15 to 18 second delay. If I change the latency to like a 5 to 10 second delay, my bandwidth goes way up. So I'm not even going to change the latency. I'm going to leave it just like it is. And yeah, you guys are 18 seconds behind me, but that's no big deal. Michael Paris says, no Terry, everything's been good, no glitches. Jeff says, I just got here, I thought it was 7:30. Yeah, sorry about that, Jeff. That was kind of confusing. I scheduled it for yesterday at 7:30, and after I had the issue with my personal vehicle, I had to reschedule. I was going to reschedule it for Monday, and I thought, no, I'll just go ahead and get it done tonight, and get it over with. Plus, I didn't want to do a live stream Monday and then have to jump right back in and do another one Tuesday. Victoria says, what do you use for the clean out tray? If you're talking about the tray on the wire cage, I use the same metal trays. They're automotive drip pans is what they're called. I use the same ones that I use for my cages. Or a lot of times if I'm just pulling birds out, for temporary, they're not going to be in the transport cage very long. A lot of times what I'll do is just take a feed bag and I'll lay it down on the ground or table, whatever I'm working on, and I'll set that cage, on top of it. And then when I'm done, I just take the feed bag and throw it out. Christine says, yes, everything. Lauren says, glad I'm not the only one who uses zip ties for door hinges. They actually work pretty good. I've got on one cage, I don't know if you can see this right here. It's funny because I got clothespins that I use to hold the cages. This cage doesn't actually need a clothespin because on the side here, and I doubt you're going to be able to see it, I have a zip tie which goes around the face of the cage wire and also around the door, so you can't open it. All you got to do is lift up the zip tie and open the door, and then when you close the door, the zip tie drops back down and you know, prevents the birds from opening the door and sneaking out at night. Carolina Girl says transport cage on the to-do list. Cool. Wolf Moon says, my quail haven't laid in months, feeding meat bird and oyster shell. Any suggestions? The first thing I would look into, or what I would say if they're not laying, check your daylight hours. I used to have my quail on a pretty high daylight hours. I was giving them like 18 to 20 hours a day. I stopped that practice. I actually dropped it back down to 16 hours a day, and I'm actually getting better results now. Now I don't know if the extended light is going to hurt them, you know, if you're at 18 to 20 hours daylight, but my train of thought is, you know, everybody needs a rest, so 16 hours on and 8 hours off. I think that's right, 8, 24, yeah. Yeah, so that works for me. But the first thing I would do is check your daylight hours. If you have the right amount of daylight hours and they're not laying, check your feed. You know, I would recommend putting them on a layer feed, a lower protein layer feed, either 16 or 18% protein. Oyster shell I don't use anymore. I used to in the past, but I don't do that. If they're still not laying, you know, check their environment. Is there anything stressing them out? You know, predators. Do you have a overly aggressive rooster in there? I found out that they really don't like a whole lot of change. I notice I can take my birds out of these wire cages and just move them over to one of my hatching time cages, you know, to do like a specific breeding project, and the hens will go off lay. And it's just because all I did was move from this side of the room to this side of the room in a different structured cage. And I guess it's because they're going from wire cage to a plastic wire cage, and maybe they're stressed out or what, I don't know. But if I move them from, say, this cage here over to the cage next to them, they continue to lay just like they always have. So quail are weird animals. Oh, Jeff says, I'll go back and watch the top half tomorrow. Yeah, that was, we did the little wire cage build, so if you're interested, check it out. How do you make the lids for your metal feeders? My metal feeders in here don't have lids on them. They do have a 1x2 wire grate over the top, and that's just to keep the birds from kicking out, you know, as much feed. Mark says, have you seen my cages? They were supposed to only be temporary. Yeah, that's how it works out. There you go. Lauren says the J feeders from Stromberg's come with lids, so there you go. Yeah, I guess if you were using a J feeder outside, you would want a lid. I don't use lids, and all my, I don't know if you can see that, but here's a J feeder, and this manure tray from the cage above it extends out over the top of the J feeder. I could push it all the way back, but I don't want to do that because the birds can, you know, poop out of the cage and go in the feed. So I keep the manure tray pulled forward just to keep, you know, from getting manure into the feed and the cage below it. Tim says, can you do a live of going through a batch of quail for breeders and culls? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I do have some sorting that I've got to do in the very near future. Maybe we could do that next week I was going to do a live on setting up a water system, a gravity fed water system, because I have one more cage setup that I need to do it on, but you know, maybe we could put that off and do one on sorting birds, because I do have at least 3 cages that need to be sorted and thinned out. So yeah, it's a good idea. I will make sure that I write that down. Dalton says zip ties are the new duct tape. Yep. Okay, Sage Wolf 1975 says what are the wire spacing for the different parts of the cage? If you're okay, you're talking about the wire itself. The entire cage is built out of 1 inch by 2 inch welded wire, and which is pretty much a standard wire for like rabbit cages and whatnot. The bottom of the cage is using half inch by 1 inch coated wire. Now you don't have to, on a temporary cage like this, you can get by without using the coated wire. You know, just regular hardware cloth will work fine. I would suggest you go with a 14 gauge hardware cloth. The thinner stuff seems to be a little bit harder on their feet. So I like the heavier wire, but I would have built this cage using using the uncoated wire, but the only thing I have out back is 24 inch, and I wanted this cage, you know, a little bit wider. I wanted, you know, a 34 inch cage, and I had some leftover coated wire from my cage building project, so I use that. I try to, if I buy wire to build cages and stuff and I have anything left over, I always try to find a project, like, you know, like these little scale cages, something to burn up the extra wire on, because I feel real guilty throwing that stuff out in the trash. Sage Wolf says also, hello everyone. Cute Quail Cubby Farm says hello all from Virginia. Welcome. Johnny Be Good says, sat here all night looking for you Friday night. Oh, sorry about that, Johnny. Yeah, I posted it over on Coturnix Corner Facebook that I couldn't make it, you know, due to an issue with my truck. The 4-wheel drive went out in it, and I had to get it going again. So, William says, hello, hello to everyone. Love this channel from Michigan. Welcome. Jeff Martin says this shop talk will be something real good. Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Bob says hi from Oak Harbor, Ohio. Ruben says, what is a good number of quail to keep for a family of 4 to have a good number of eggs to eat and hatch for grow outs? That's kind of a trick question. One, it depends on how many people in your family eat eggs and how many eggs you eat a day. My wife will not eat quail eggs cooked. She'll eat them raw, like in a glass of tomato juice or something, but she doesn't like them cooked. So basically, the only eggs I really need to supply for is for me, but I eat on an average of 8 eggs a day. Used to be 10, but I'm trying to cut back. I'm eating too many eggs. I also, you know, if you're going to use the eggs for cooking, so you want to kind of factor that in, but if you have, say you're eating, just say you plan on using 8 eggs a day. So that right there is 8 birds, and that's if every single bird is laying. I would actually double that number. I would make it 16. That way you're getting 2 days worth of eggs. If they're all laying, you're getting 2 days worth of eggs every day. So you have extra eggs for, you know, other things like cooking, or if you're going to hard boil up some to make egg salad sandwich, whatever. It also, if you have twice the number of birds as the eggs that you're using, that will give you extra eggs that you can set aside to hatch out and grow your meat birds. So I'm going to say, figure out the number of eggs that you want to use a day and then double that, and that's what I would go with. Christy Tanner says, from Michigan, welcome Christy. Carolina Girl says, thumbs up everyone. Well, we're not doing too bad. We got 81 people here and 64 likes. So, guys, I really don't care about the likes and stuff. That doesn't really do much for me. I mean, it's nice to see, and I guess it has something to do with the YouTube algorithms. But you know, like it or not, for me, if you guys show up and hang out while we're doing the video, that's like enough. You know, I mean, I figure you must be enjoying it or you wouldn't be hanging out. So, Let's see. Mandy says, thank you, or it's either hi or thank you from North Carolina, but hi. We'll say it's hi. Christy says it's cold up here. Yeah, it's cold everywhere, Christy. Cute Quail Covey Farm says, working on a new cage and failing miserably. Can't wait to get ideas from you. There's a lot of videos on the channel here. I think I did 2 or 3 different wood frame cages that you can easily build. Check them out. That might help you out. I also did 2 different wire cages, one with a rollout, one as a grow out pen. So check them out. If you can't find what you're looking for on the channel, shoot me a message over on Facebook or email me at terry@coturnixcorner.com, and I'll try to help you out. Oh, there you go. Lauren kind of answered that question for you a little bit. Also, what's a good size grow out pen just to grow them out and then put in the freezer, 50 to 100 birds at a time? Thank you, love the channel. It depends on, to me, it depends on where your grow out pen is. If your grow out pen is outside, I don't feel as bad about packing the birds in a little bit tighter because the manure is outside. It's going to pile up on the ground. It's not really going to be an issue. But to pack 100 birds inside one cage inside, that's going to produce an awful lot of manure, and you're either going to be cleaning cages every day, or you're going to have a build up manure and it's going to stink. So I put in my grow out pen out back, it's not really a grow out pen, it's an aviary that I'm using as a grow out pen right now. I think I've got about 50 out there right now, and I could easily triple that number without the birds being too crowded. But yeah, to me it would really depend on whether you're keeping them indoors or outdoors. Or you could also use the formula. Some people say 3 birds per square foot, that's the jumbos, and figure it out from there. So 100 birds divided by 3 would be what, 30 square feet you would need. JD says it's calling for an overnight freeze further north of you. Maybe it will snow in Florida. Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. Thanks, Mark. FF for Fab Fee. That's a good one. And hopefully there'll be some more in there. I've only seen snow. I'm pretty far south. I'm down to Fort Myers. I've seen snow one time here in Fort Myers. It was Christmas morning back in the late 80s. I had just come in from Texas. I had drove in all night long because I promised my wife I'd be home for Christmas. And when I got out of the truck at 4 o'clock in the morning, it was snowing. And it had snowed all the way from Texas, all the way across I-10, and coming down 75 to about Ocala, so about halfway down 75. But when I got home, there were snowflakes in the air, which was weird. I mean, for Florida, you don't think of Florida getting snow. David Pennington says hello from Southeast Ohio. Hello. Okay, there's Lauren's recommendation. She aims for 4 to 6 birds per square foot in her grow outs. Yeah, I guess, yeah, in a grow out cage, your birds are going to be smaller. I was thinking, jumbo sized birds, so yeah. Tim says, could you help me acquire 12-inch long hatching time troughs? I'm looking to try to do their water in front for the winter. The levels are open, so it's one long one. I don't think you're going to find, 12-inch long. I was thinking it was 12 foot. Yeah, they're simple. I mean, go to their website, hatchingtime.com, click on, not supplies, but I want to say it's something about poultry and quail or something, and then you'll see cages, and right next to the cage link is an accessories link. Scroll down, they have 12-inch troughs, they have 24 and 36-inch troughs. The 12-inch troughs are pretty reasonable. They're something like $6 or $8, something like that. As a matter of fact, I had thought about doing that, buying one of these troughs a little bit smaller and plumbing it and hanging it on the side of the cages, but I'm not really a big fan of trough waters just for the fact that I have an awful lot of stuff flying around in here, whether it's feathers, dander, dust, wood shavings from the, or pine shavings from their manure trays. And it seems like if that stuff's all over the floor, it's going to get in my water. So I stick with the horizontal nipples on most of my cages. On my grow out pens, I still use the water cups that have the little yellow plunger in it. Okay, Steve says, I've been watching everything I can find to prepare myself for raising quail. I'm using what I have on hand to build my cages, so the frames are all different sizes, so I need square foot per bird. Okay, if you're going to be raising jumbos, I wouldn't go over 3 birds per square foot. That's packing them in pretty tight. I don't even do 1 bird per square foot. I'm probably closer to a half a bird per square foot. Let's see, one, because I've got a whole lot of cage space right now that I can fill up, and also I am working on breeding projects. Question, do you use a good natural wormer, or is worming necessary? If so, at what age? I have never wormed a quail. I've never fed them medicated feed, so I wouldn't think that you would have to. I mean, I've never had them tested to find out if they had worms. I've never had any problems with them, like with other animals, they get worms, they don't gain weight, like they should. So I'm going to say no, it's not necessary. And as far as a good natural wormer, I don't know. I have heard of some people saying, no, I don't want to say it, because then if you use that and it doesn't work, I don't want to mess you up. Carolina Girl says, has anyone tried to pressure can quail? If so, how did it turn out? I don't know anything about pressure canning, so I can't help you there. Sorry about that. Diatomates research in their sand bath will worm them. There you go. Thank you, JL. I had never even thought about that, but yep. Has anybody had any issues with worms in quail? I've never had any, so to be honest, I have never had any issues with coccidia or, worms, or, and after I changed out all my wiring in my cages, bumblefoot is very rare here. So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of problems with my birds. And I'm kind of like Mark, too. If I do find a bird that has a health issue or, an issue, I just call them, let's see, Lauren says, or Eric and Norma says, Lauren, can it be left with the bone in, or should it be boneless before canning? Okay, I don't know, so yeah, maybe she can help you. Tim says, what kind of misinformation is out there? I don't know. Yeah, and I don't want to get drawn into that whole thing again. We had a big kerfluff over on the Facebook group page, and it started to get out of hand. So, I respect the breeders' efforts to educate those that don't know, because a lot of people, when they get into the quail, they blindly follow what a bunch of people are saying, or are recommending. And you will learn, if you follow them, you will learn over time that, maybe you made a mistake, especially as you start to get a little more experience and you want to, expand your operation into, different colors, or, do a genetic line of breeding to perfect the line that you have. All that comes into play. And if you get a bad start, you may have to eliminate your entire flock and start all over again just because you listened to bad information to begin with. So I would definitely, talk to several breeders out there, several recommended breeders that have been doing this for a while, and find out what they say. I don't like throwing names around, because it just seems like it just starts trouble, especially if I do it for some reason. You're welcome. Okay, J.O. Murphy says, I pressure can coil all the time. Is that pressure can like jar canning? Is that what that is? You just can it like you would if you were doing canning eggs or something? 2 quail in a pint jar. Oh, here we go. 2 quail in a pint jar, 4 or 4 in quarts, 90 minutes. Huh. I'm going to have my wife look into that. We freeze everything. I mean, when we butcher it, it goes in the freezer and until we use it. Donna says, regarding newbies, I think it's important to be prepared for all the poop. That could turn anyone off. Yeah, manure is an issue that you'll have to deal with. If it's outside, I really don't find it's an issue, especially if you're in the, during the summer months or the warmer months. When I first started my compost pile out back, I was wondering how long it was going to take to decompose. One day I was out there and I think I was dumping some more manure on it or something, and I saw a black soldier fly. And within probably a week or 2 after that, I could dig into the pile and show you a handful of soldier flies. So they did a really good job of composting, a lot of manure and a lot of the pine shavings down. I did a video on the channel that shows basically how I did it, but if you look, you'll see a pile, and I kid you not, that pile was 4 or 5 feet tall and as big around as a 10 by 12 concrete slab. And basically me and my wife bagged it all up. We set it out at the road. I put a sign out that said free compost, and people were taking it off. That was after I got what I wanted for my garden. So. But yeah, be ready for the poop. It's they do poop a lot. It just says, where do you buy your coated wire from and what size roll? Fencerwire.com is a real good place to get wire. They have an Amazon store on Amazon, which is where I order like my 1/2x1, and I always order a 36-inch tall roll because one, my cages are 36, and I designed my cages around the wire that was available. Originally I thought that I would get 48-inch roll of wire, but it wasn't really cost effective for the cost of that extra foot of wire for the number of birds that I was going to be able to keep. So for me, I buy 36-inch rolls of the 1/2x1 and also 36-inch rolls of the 1x2. I still have quite a bit of wire out back, if I need to, either repair cages or build more, but I'm running out of room to put more cages. So. But anyhow, yeah, check out fencerwire.com or look for them on Amazon. JD says, how many cages do you need if you want to breed? If you want to breed 2 specific males and keep track of the results to the grandbabies. Okay, so well, you're going to need 2 cages to start out with for the 2 different males. Unless you plan on keeping both males in the cage, and have a larger ratio in there. But I'm just going to assume that you want 2 different males, 1 cage. So there's 2 cages there. And then you're going to need grow out pens to grow out the chicks that you want to hatch out. And then you're going to need more breeding cages to place them in. So I wouldn't look at it as to the number of cages that you need to keep track of results. I would look at it as the number of cages for the max amount of birds that you want to get up to. You can start out with 2 males, just say on a 1-to-4 ratio. So there's 4 hens in each cages. I'm sorry, 3 hens in each cage. We'll make it a 1-to-5 ratio. 4 hens in each cages. So that's, you're going to get 8 eggs a day, 40 eggs a week. It's going to add up quick. It's going to depend on how much hatching. I would adjust your hatching so you never overfill all your cages. Because if you hatch out chicks and you don't have room for them, you got to end up culling something. Richard says, could you send me Perry Schofield's email to Richard? I don't have Perry's email. When I talk with Perry, we usually do it by phone or by Facebook Messenger. But go on Facebook and just do a search for Perry Schofield. He's got a Facebook page. I'm not sure. I think he's got a business page also. But Perry's really good. Just message him there. He's really good about, returning messages and stuff. That's how I normally get a hold of him, just, to initiate it. And then we'll use the phone after that, if we need to do tests or whatnot. Tim says, oh my God, there's so much poop, it's crazy. Yep. Another thing I want to say about poop, guys, is, especially in my case, I'm inside, and everybody knows how much quail poop. If you keep the manure dry, or you can get it to dry out fast, it really eliminates a lot of the smell. They're shut off now because I'm live out here, but I have circulation fans that rotate air around the shop. This way, it's going across all the manure trays and around the shop. And also on this wall, I have an exhaust fan pulling air out of the room. So the manure in here dries really quick. And even when my trays are full, a couple inches deep with manure, they don't really stink. With exception, I've had one cage down on the bottom where I guess I had one of my water nipples was leaking, and it was leaking slow enough that it wasn't flooding the pan, but it was leaking enough to get all the pine shavings wet, and which in turn, made the manure wet, and you can smell it in a heartbeat. So yeah, that's an easy way to locate leaks, I guess. If you smell poop, look for the leak. Let's see, Tommy says, hello from Aaron, Tennessee. I'm in the process of building your incubator. Well, that's great. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. But that incubator has done amazing. I had 3 of them that were running pretty much around the clock. I gave 2 of them away. I kept one to use as a lockdown box. But, I mean, for a very inexpensive incubator, it does wonders. All right, Mark says, Terry, I found the cheapest place for 1/2x1 PVC coated is Home Depot online. Where are you getting yours from? Like I said earlier, I'm getting mine at fencerwire.com. Is Home Depot's the 14 gauge? I imagine it would be. I think most of the wire is 14 gauge. Oh no, the heavier wire is 14 gauge. The flooring wire, I believe, is 16. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. I just know that what I order. I know that the heavier wire is 14 gauge, so the floor wire might not be. Joy says, question, what are the dimensions on the scale cage? It's not big, it's like 6x6, I think. 7 by 6 and 6 inches tall. So yeah, I mean that cage works good for my size scale. You can, whatever size scale you got, you can size it up to fit the scale. But that thing's a godsend. I mean, you would not believe how many times I have chased birds around my shop because I put them on the scale and I hold them there for a second and I let go and they fly. So I don't do that anymore. I put them in a cage. Karen says, good idea. Is that good idea or good deal? Love the cage. I got my first incubator trying to balance the heat and humidity. It's like a yo-yo. I have the Nurturite 360. Any ideas? Well, to be honest with you, Karen, I do not like the Nurturite 360. It's plagued with problems. It's a poor design. I've heard a lot of issues, and I had 5 of them. I ended up giving them away, but they have issues with temperature. They have issues with humidity. The way it's built, when you lift the top off, if you've got chicks hatched out, there's no wall around there to hold the chicks in, so all your chicks just scatter. The Turner motor is mounted in the bottom side of the incubator in the water wells, humidity wells, so it's subject to getting wet and rusting out. It's just, to me, it's just a really poor design. Will it work? Yes, but you're gonna have to, really monitor your temperatures and humidity. But if you're having an issue with heat, the first thing I could recommend is to make sure that the room that your nurture right is in is at least 70 degrees. You want the room temperature to be up there. That's going to kind of not hold the heat in, but it's not going to allow the heat to drop down as much or come up as much. As far as humidity, yeah, I can't help you on that, because you're going to probably end up having to fill both water ports and or all the water ports in the bottom, with the exception of that little round one where your turner motor comes in. Other than that, there's really no room inside there to you know, to put something else that's like a sponge or anything, you know, to help draw moisture out. I just never liked them. 5 of those cages, or 5 of those incubators were given to me. I used them once or twice. When I first started out, I thought they were really, I thought, wow, what a neat design. You know, it's got a candle on it. It's got a hygrometer. You know, it's computer controlled, but, you know, probably after maybe half a dozen hatches, I'm like, this thing's, I put them away. And like I said, they were given to me and I ended up giving them away. So, but yeah, that's all I can do as far as, you know, giving you ideas on what to do with it. But Victoria says, I appreciate the demonstrations, very helpful, thanks. And yeah, I'm sorry about that, Karen. I wish I could help you out more, but I really don't like the Nurture Right 360. Joy says, I love the building lives. It's great, thank you. James says, even though I haven't watched in about 2 years, I just noticed you were live and wanted to help pay back all you have taught me over the years. Thank you very much. Glad you could join us. William says, I got my incubator from Hatching Time. Yes, a little pricey, but really nice. You can pay in installments. Yes, you can. They do have, I think it's a company that they work with that allows, hold on, I'm going to check my battery on this thing. Okay, we're still good. Yeah, you can make installments. The Hatching Time incubator, I have the CT60. It's been amazing. It runs pretty much around the clock, and it does very well. If I had to nitpick it, I do want to nitpick something, because I hate saying that everything's perfect, because it's not. My thoughts on it is, if you get the quail rails that go in the egg turners, you can hold X amount of eggs, or you can incubate X amount of eggs using both of the egg turners. The problem you run into is when you go to put all those eggs in the hatching baskets, they are way too overcrowded in the hatching baskets. So what I've been doing is I'll use the Hatching Time incubator as an incubator, and then I will use my DIY incubator as a hatching box. So there you go. That's my complaint. Carolina girl, Terry, love that you are to the point and no frou-frou. Yep. I kind of like to tell it like it is, because I don't want to say something and then have somebody, you know, follow what I said and have it, you know, not work out for them and basically blow up my face. Well, Terry said I should do this, you know. So, you know, I'll tell you exactly my experience with something, and I'm not going to lie about it. Same with, you know, working with other people or breeders. If somebody asks me about, you know, breeder A or breeder B, I'm going to tell you what I think about them. And speaking of, there is a recommended breeder video over on our channel that you can watch if you're looking for breeders that I recommend. What did I do there? Erica Norma says, question, is it even possible for the quail to brood and hatch their own eggs? Yes, it is. A lot of people have done it. Matter of fact, that was the reason I built the aviary out back, was I wanted to see if I could get, you know, birds to go broody. I did notice nesting behavior, but they never sat on the eggs. But I know a lot of people have successfully done it, and a lot of people in Australia say that, you know, they have several birds that go broody and hatch out the eggs. So yes, it can be done. Oh, James Richards says super chat, $19.99 from James. James, you didn't have to do that, man. I mean, that is, I mean, I appreciate it. You would not believe how much I appreciate it, but I don't expect money or ask for money. It's just not what this channel is about. I don't need to raise money to, you know, buy equipment to review, or I don't even want to go there because I know people are going to reference that. But yeah, I don't ask for money on the channel. So, but thank you very much. It is appreciated, and I will take that $20 and I will make a video using that $20 for whatever the video is about. So thanks. Even though I haven't watched for a couple years, thank you for all your education you have shared. You are welcome. Gary said, I've watched your video on your homemade incubator. Looked nice. Question, what are the pros and cons with it? Pros, 1, it's cheap. 2, it works very, very well. If you watch the video, the way I designed that incubator, it has a lot of fail safes in it, like, you know, multiple fans, multiple heating elements. And the reason for that is if one should fail, hopefully they're both not going to fail at the same time, even though I have had that had that happen. It was built, you know, with redundancy in mind. So I like, you know, it's cheap. It does a very good job of hatching. I've had 95% hatch rates in it. If I had to give you a con, and it's probably because of the way I built it, I have on top of mine, I have the electronics, you know, all the wiring, all the light bulb fixtures go down through the top. I wish I would have come up with a little bit cleaner way of putting that together, because what I do after a hatch is I take it outside and I grab the garden hose and I just blow everything out. And I always have to cover the electronics with a plastic bag to make sure nothing gets wet. Let's see, other cons. Maybe it could, you know, maybe we could have designed it to where it holds 3 shelves of eggs instead of just 2. I mean, it'll do 240 eggs, and you can hatch out 240 eggs in there. But for the size of the box it is, you know, it's pretty big, and only to get a 240 egg hatch out of it, you know, some people might, you know, look down on that. But I can't really, other than that, I really can't think of a whole lot of cons. It is foam, so you kind of got to be careful with it. You can't, you know, be bumping it into stuff. The foam does dent, you know, fairly easy. You got to rig up something for the door to make sure that the door closes all the way, so you don't have, you know, leaks around the edges of the door. Some people have complained about that, but a lot of people have, Eric, I'll get to your guys' comment here in a second, but a lot of people have made modifications to that, and, you know, fixed something that I overlooked, or modified it. I know Beth Reed has made a 3 level, it's either 3 or 4, and she made her modification to it, and she reports to me that it does very well. So yeah, but it is a very what's the word I'm looking for, modifiable, I guess I'll have to say, incubator, you know, to where you can make it work for your needs. Eric Normus, James, thank you for your blessing. Okay, absolutely, James, we do appreciate it. Rebecca says, is there any reason otherwise healthy birds would stop laying eggs for 5+ months? Yeah, daylight hours would be the first thing I would look at. Stress levels would be the next. And by stress, I mean any change in their daily routine, moving them from, you know, one cage to another, even moving the cages. If you keep them in the same cage and move to the other side of the room, sometimes that's enough to throw them off. So if the birds are outside, I would check and make sure that you don't have a predator issue. Even though you might not be losing birds, you could still have, you know, like cats or a rat or possums, raccoons, something, even though they're not getting to your birds, they're getting, you know, close enough and in the vicinity to stress out your birds, and that will, you know, take them off the way. Mark Wilson says, hello y'all. Hello Mark, welcome. Okay, yeah, Lauren's got some good comments for Rebecca regarding that. Manny Rodriguez says, when is the breeding season? I breed year round. If you supplement them with extra, you can breed year round. But if you're going, you know, with natural breeding season, it's going to be like any other animal. It's going to be, you know, springtime where the daylight hours start getting longer. You're going to start seeing, you know, breeding activity, and then it'll go, you know, right through probably end of October, even into November, once the daylight hours start cutting back. Donna says, you can't get the trays at auto parts stores in Canada. I've tried everywhere. Maybe something to do with steel or aluminum tariffs. That could be. I didn't know you guys had those. One thing, I don't know what it would cost, and it might not be worth it, but maybe you could order them in. You know, go to like Discount Auto, or no, Advanced Auto or AutoZone here in the U.S. or even in Canada. See if you can place the order online. That's where I get mine. I order everything online, but I don't know if the shipping would, you know, drive the cost up too high to make it where it's not worth it. Okay, Lauren's got a good idea for Donna. Check at your pet and feed stores for rabbit dropping trays. They're usually square, so you need to change your cage size, but they can work well and last longer than metal. There you go. Wolf's Moon says, thank you so much. My wife and I love your channel. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you like the channel, and thanks for joining us tonight. Jeremy Pearson says, can't get to it. I haven't had eggs in 2 or 3 days. My lighting's good. Feed is hardy, meat bird. But here in Minnesota, we've had a few below 32-degree weather in the garage. I'm assuming it's the cold for them. It could be. I mean, the first thing to do is look for change. If something has disrupted their daily routine, that can knock your hens off lay. I really don't have that big of situations out here in Florida, so temperature doesn't, you know, isn't an issue for me. But, you know, maybe talk to some people up north that keep quail. Although I know a lot of people up in northern Canada that, you know, they're breeding year round, and they say that their birds are, you know, in 0-degree temperatures up there. So, oh, that's a good idea. JD says maybe try recycling the front of a stainless steel dishwasher or refrigerator. I've harvested metal from them for other uses. There you go, good idea. Okay, I'm going to skip a couple of these. Mr. Cordona says, hi, how are you? I'm from Mozambique. Cool, welcome. Glad you could join us. I don't know what time it is there, but... Okay, Lauren says, I don't think too cold necessarily, but a sudden drop made mine slow way down on egg production. There you go. So, thank you, Lauren, for that. For laying eggs, are you using Japanese or giant? Okay, I assume you're talking about jumbos. I collect eggs from all my different birds. I do have jumbo browns, but I also have birds that are standard size, and I collect them for you know, eating eggs and obviously for hatching eggs. But yeah, I collect eggs from all my birds. It's a good idea. She built her trays of scrap wood, or Lauren built her trays of scrap wood and cheap vinyl flooring pulled tight across the middle. Wood edges hold the poop in and they wash clean easily. Good, great idea. Mark says, I'm in upstate New York and hope to find a rabbit and quail breeder to visit. I don't know anybody up in New York other than, what's his name? Kenny Mitchell. He's actually Kenny Mitchell is going to be our guest Tuesday, I think. He hasn't got back to me yet, but I think on our Tuesday live stream. He's up there, but I don't think he actually sells hatching eggs or anything. I think he's just breeding for himself. Okay, Rochelle Farm says, I like the idea of you sorting quail on the Shop Talk. Good idea, whoever came up with it. Yeah, we can do that. You know, and I can show you what I look for when I'm sorting my birds. A lot of times I'll start out, I'm looking for conformity. I want body conformity first, and then I'll go into color and whatnot. But I see somebody else just gave us another super chat. I don't know why I can't see it. It pops up for a second and then I can't see it, but when I get to it, I will mention you. And guys, I wish you guys would stop doing that, because good night, JL. Appreciate you joining us. Yeah, I don't feel, I won't say I don't feel comfortable, but it's not necessary. I mean, this channel and the live streams were for you guys to basically share information. And I get a kick out of it too, because, you know, these conversations back and forth, you know, between the chat and me, I get a lot of good ideas from you guys. It's nice to see you guys checking in here. My buddy Klaus from the Netherlands, he stays up at 2 o'clock in the morning to join in on some of these lives. And I'm like, why? Let's see. Chris says, I'm in the learning phase still. How do you handle the time away from the quails for a vacation? Can you prep and take weekends away or longer? I don't do a whole lot of vacationing. I did this past year. I went out of town for about 4 days. And what I ended up having to do was I gave away a lot of my color lines to a very good friend of mine, and he agreed to take care of them. And then, you know, said that if I ever wanted, you know, some of that bloodline back, I could come over and get it from him. But for the most part, I put birds out in the aviary, all the stuff that I wanted to keep, put them in the aviary and loaded them up on food. I had, you know, plenty of water out there, and they were fine, you know, for 3 or 4 days. But for the most part, I'm in a position now to where I'm not set up to be able to leave. You know, I might be able to go overnight, maybe a day and a half. But I would be worried. You know, I got 5-gallon waters on top, so that water will hold them for a couple days easy. But feeders, the J feeders would most likely run empty in a day or two. So yeah, I would just arrange to have somebody that you trust come in and take care of your birds for you, if you could do that. David Smith's in the house. Has got here late, but happy to be here. Welcome. Lauren says, I got to get going, folks. Kids in bed. Got to prep for a reptile expo in Vending tomorrow. Really, Lauren? I didn't know that you did reptiles. I used to work by. You probably know who they are. I used to be a shop person for Glades Herb. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not, but they were some people I worked for. Bill Love and Rob McInnes. Yeah, I did a lot of some larger pythons. I also bred a lot of leopard geckos and bearded dragons. So anyhow, enough about that. Jalopy Guy, I would love to see a live shop talk, hopefully with visual examples of what to look for in cleaning up the bloodlines. That will kind of go along with the sorting, because that's, you know, something that I do look into, or that I do consider when sorting my birds. But I do want you guys to realize that I am just now getting into cleaning up my bloodlines. The biggest thing that I had to do first was I did a lot of studying up and conversing with, you know, Klaus Marshall and Allie from Maine's Confetti Quail Farm. A lot of reading on the Coturnix Quail Color and Genetics page. Yeah, you have to have an understanding of that first before you can even, you know, jump into sorting. Right now, this is what Allie told me. She said, sort first for conformity. Get your quail, their body, their structure. I just call it conformity. Get that first. Worry about color later. So, yeah, we'll go over that, you know, in the next video. I'll see if I can't put something together for next week. I really wish I could have somebody here like Klaus or Allie to, you know, to actually help me out with that. But I will show you my method of sorting and culling and whatnot. Scara says, Scara, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Poop trays can also be made from coroplast. If you need a 2x6 tray, measure out 2x6, but add an inch to each side, cut it out, score a 1-inch mark around and fold up and staple the corners. There you go, good idea. Yvonne is here from Spokane Valley, Washington. Thank you for your videos. I'm trying to decide on an outside cage design for you. I'm planning on 5 regular quail, but so many predators. Yeah. If you've got issues with predators, Yvonne, go to Slightly Redneck YouTube channel. Chris has a really good design for a small number of birds, but it's also a heavy-duty cage that will protect your birds from predators. So yeah, check out Chris. Really great guy. He's got some good stuff on his channel. Salvador's here from Puerto Rico. Welcome. A lot of predators, and it will be on my deck. Size of wire and fly deterrent, I'm going to say that is. For an outside cage, I would use half by half. I wouldn't go with anything larger than that. If you do, even if you went with the half by one, rats and raccoons can still reach inside the cage. I'm not saying that you have rats, you know, in your neighborhood or on your deck, but they still can, you know, get access to the birds. So I would go half by half. Like I said, check out Chris's website. He's got a pretty good build video on his cages. Jerry says, how can you tell sex apart? A lot of the quail are feather sexable, meaning you can look at the patterning on of their feathers and tell what sex they are. Some of the varieties are only vent sexable. In that case, you'll have to wait till they're a little bit older to sex them. Some people don't even vent sex. They'll just wait and see, you know, which birds lay eggs and which birds start crowing and go from there. So if you start vent sexing, you should be able to get to where you will be proficient at it, you know, just in a matter of a couple weeks. Okay, yeah, a lot of people have answered that. Steve Foot says 3 birds per square foot on grow-out cages is the same for brooder cages and brooder cages. Okay, in a brooder, you can put a lot more birds. They're smaller. So you can get, I've never actually calculated it, but I would say you could do 10 birds, 10 chicks per square foot in a brooder. In a grow-out pen, maybe 4 birds per square foot until they get up to, say, you know, 4 weeks, because at 4 weeks, they're going to have some pretty good size. Then I would drop it down to 3 birds per square foot. So let's see, Scar's answering questions. That's good. Rose says hi from Canada. Hello. Will the female hatch eggs if they are from an incubator? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't. I don't think it matters how the bird was hatched out. It's going to be when they mature. If they have, you know, the genetic code that's going to tell them, you know, to go broody. And there's another word. Genetic code wasn't actually the right word I was looking for. If they have, it's like an instinct, I guess you'd say, to be, you know, to go broody. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter where they hatch from. Michael Perry says, good evening, Mr. Terry. Didn't see you rescheduled for tonight. Just happened to see you around. Hope all is well. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Had an issue with my vehicle, so I had to work on that yesterday. And I know I get pretty hands-on when I'm wrenching. I've been covered with grease, and it just takes forever to get cleaned up. So I just canceled that and rescheduled for the Scara says, horse stall bedding pellets are great for drying poop and keeping the smell down. Very good. Jessica says, I don't know. Bunment? I don't know. Jackie says, how many waterers go in each section of cages? Watering nipples? Usually 2. That way, when I had the watering cups in all my cages, I always went with 2 just in case one clogged up and failed. But on the horizontal nipples, the way they're designed, they really can't get clogged up. And if they were to get clogged up, your entire system must be pretty filthy, because their nipple's sitting in the pipe sideways, and it's not like a vertical one where it's coming up from the bottom and sediment can sit down on top of it, or not sediment, but dirt and dust could sit down on top of it and plug it. So on these split cages, they have one nipple per cage. On the larger cages that aren't split, they have 2 nipples, just because I have more birds in there. If I were you, if you're concerned about redundancy in water, go with at least 2. But like I explained, the horizontal nipples I don't think you're going to have an issue with. David Smith says, question, what is a good scale for weighing eggs and quail? At what stages should you weigh the quail? I use a postal scale, and somebody asked me that last week, and I forgot to get the name of it. It's a postal scale. I don't weigh eggs anymore. I can pretty much tell if the egg is big enough for me to incubate or too big to throw in the incubator. At what stages should you weigh the quail? That's really up to you. If you're breeding jumbos and you're really concerned about how they're developing, you want to develop a line that reaches weight quicker, then you're going to want to weigh them more often. But like I say, even my jumbos, I really don't weigh much anymore. I can pretty much grab a bird and tell by the feel of their breasts. You get a good idea. Okay, this is a good chunky bird. It's going to make weight. So, yeah. Okay, Rochelle Farm. Mark says Home Depot has the 16 gauge half by 1 PVC coated black. Very good. Yeah, I'll check on that, Mark, because I am out of the coated wire, so I will need to order some more. Jackie Watkins says, what size difference in your cages and hatching time cages? Not much, really. They're both 36 inches wide. Hatching time cages are 18 inches deep from the back to the front door. Mine are 20 inches deep from the back to the front door, and we both have the same size rollouts. So, yeah, not a whole lot of difference in size. And on my hatching time cages, I opened up 3 of the units. I opened up all the cages inside by cutting out the center dividers just to make it a bigger cage. I do have one 4-tier and one 3-tier, which I did not cut out the center dividers, and those are for individual specialty breeding projects. So. Tim says, tip, go to your local coffee shop and they'll give you their grounds for free, and they really keep the odor down in the manure trays, and they're a great soil amendment. Cool, never thought of that. Not talking to me. Jackie says, question, can you start eggs at different times in the incubator, and how can you separate them during lockdown? Yes, you can. It's a rolling hatch, some people call it, or a staggered hatch. I use 2 different boxes. Actually, I use 4 different boxes, but I have my incubators, and then I have hatching boxes. So I can do staggered hatches in the incubator, like have one rack set it one day, and then the next shelf or the next turner set a week later or 2 weeks later, whatever. Wouldn't have to actually go 2 weeks, but say 10 days later. But then when I pull them out to go into lockdown, I usually put them in a lockdown box. As far as the problem you run into with doing a staggered hatch in just an incubator is when your first eggs are going into lockdown, your second set of it, in lockdown you got to raise humidity up. Your second set of eggs will be exposed to the higher humidity. Now, would that affect them? Most likely not. You probably still get a decent hatch, but I would have a second box. If you're going to do that on a regular basis, I would have a second hatching box dedicated for hatching. Kim says, hey, from Montana, which is your favorite incubator and preferred method? Dry. Favorite incubator? And it's really hard to say because I have 2 I'm really liking. But if I had to recommend an incubator or something, I would say I have 2 different models of the Brado. I have the Luke 16 and I also have the Real 49. They're both tabletop models. The Real 49 will do like 164 quail eggs, I think, or 196 quail eggs if you fill it all the way up. And this Lumia 16 will do 64 quail eggs, I believe. But I also have the Hatching Time CT, which I use on a regular basis. It does a very good job. It's a cabinet style incubator, and it does a really good job. I dry hatch. I always dry hatch. I don't add any water during the incubation process, and I do raise the humidity levels up, but not for lockdown, but not as high as a lot of people do. A lot of people go, 70, 75, 80%. I never go that high. I try to keep it around 60, 65. So, and I turn. I do use turners. I did do a test video on no turning versus turning eggs. I pretty much got equal results on both of them. So, you don't have to turn if you don't want to, but I recommend, even in that video, I recommend using a turner. Let's see, Jackie says, questions. How do Butler Bob Whites compare to Coturnix jumbo size quail wise? I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't do Bob Whites. I can't answer that. Can you recommend an incubator? Didn't I just answer that question? It's going to depend on the style incubator you want. If you want just a tabletop model, a small one, go with the Barato, the Lumia 16. Brinzia is also a good name in tabletop incubators. I would stay away from Nurturite 360s. I'm not going to say I never had luck with them. I just don't like the design of them, we'll put it that way. Some of the cheap styrofoam incubators, they can work well if you can get them tuned to where you've got stable temperatures and you can get the humidity where you want them. They work well. If you are going to get one of the cheaper styrofoam incubators, like the Little Giant, make sure that it's a forced air model, meaning that it's got a fan in there to circulate air. That's going to help you out. But the price that you're going to spend for the styrofoam incubators with an egg turner and everything is pretty comparable to buying a Barato, which comes with the egg turners. It comes with the rails, the quail rails, so you can hatch out. You're ready to hatch out with the incubator, and they're about the same price. Mark says, "Have a good night, y'all." Thanks for joining us tonight, Mark. Appreciate it. Gary says, "Thanks, Terry from North Carolina." Wow, it's almost 9 o'clock. I didn't want to go this late, so I'm going to run through these here pretty quick. Steve says, "Anyone used a plastic tote lids for poop trays?" I have not tried that, but that's an idea. Rainbow Magic Treasure Chest says, "Hey all." Jay's talking to someone else. Donna's talking to someone else. Okay, here's Michael Perry. Gave a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Thankful for your help and knowledge. Told you I'd be donating. Appreciate it, Mr. Terry. Michael, I do appreciate it. I'm glad that you're getting some useful content out of the channel and out of these live streams. But like I said earlier, I don't expect the super chats. I don't expect donations. I don't ask for them. It's not needed. But thank you very much. And I will take your donation and the other donation. I'll put them together and we will make a video about something that we had to purchase with that. Feather Homestead, live off my land. Hey Terry from Australia, you're a legend. Oh, I am. I don't think so. An inspiration to me in the quail game. I have learned so much from you. Cheers. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're finding the channel useful. As far as being a legend, not even close. There's guys out there that been doing this a lot longer than me, and I'm still learning. Every day I'm learning. Weems Pharmacist says, "Hey Terry from Louisiana, welcome." Timothy Harris says 3 birds per square foot in a breeder cage. Yeah, you can go that much. I don't really go that much, but you can. Kiki's in the house. Hello, friends. Kiki is very active in the Backyard Chickens forum. I think Kiki, I believe you run that forum, if I'm not mistaken. So check that out. They also have some quail forums on there that are pretty interesting. Got a lot of content on them. Two shoes, I hope that I said that right. Do the jumbo lay the same amount of eggs as the standard size? For the most part, yeah. I think, and I don't really keep them, so I can't say 100%. I think somebody told me that the EBs, the extended browns, which basically are your Tibetans and Rosettas, lay a little bit more, but I can't attest to that because I don't keep them. Rainbow Magic says, uh-oh, Kiki's here. Let's see, Carolina girl says, good night all, thanks for the good advice. You're welcome, glad you could join us. Kevin Kennedy says, just joined the group, welcome. Kiki says, styrofoam incubator here, user here, no fan, excellent hatches. Yeah, if you could get, it's funny, Kiki, that you say that because I use the styrofoam incubators without the fan for all my reptile hatching, and they work on a little bit different thing than the circulated air, but you have gradients, and once you find that gradient that you like or that you want your eggs in, it's easy to find it. Just set a thermometer in there and just measure the temperatures at different levels of the incubator. But yeah, I've used it for hatching out reptile eggs, and they work. For several years I've used them. I like something a little bit more, I won't say advanced. Yeah, maybe advanced is the word. It's just a little bit more up to date than the styrofoams, that still use the older technology. And even on your styrofoam incubator, is that the kind where it's got the wafer, and then it's got the little thing on the top where you adjust it to adjust your temperature? Let's see. Kevin says, love the videos, so helpful to a newbie. Great. Weems Farmstead, everyone have an awesome night. You too. Where's Rev? He just checked out, Kiki. He was in here and said that he had to go to bed. Kiki says, stay warm, you northeastern snow peeps. Yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of chilly up there. No, it's not this is Kiki. No, it's not my form. I just rule it. I kid. I love that. Shane Thomas says, good night all. And Terry, you're a legend because you share your knowledge with us. You are very much appreciated. That's kind of the reason I started Coturnix Corner, was to share my results. If you go back and watch some of the real early videos when I first started out, guys, I was an idiot back then. And then when I started getting into genetics, I never realized I was that stupid. There's just so much that I don't know. But like I say, even I'll share what I do know with you, or share what I've learned with you. Steve said, thanks Terry for your help. We'll continue watching and learning. Great. Kiki says, I just hang out on the forum instead of Facebook. That's probably a really good idea. I wish I could. To be honest with you, Kiki, if I didn't have the Coturnix Corner Facebook group page on Facebook, I would not be on Facebook. I don't like it. It seems like it gets too toxic. And you spend way too much time there. I mean, there's a lot of other things that I need to be doing sitting in front of a computer. Feather Homestead says, I dry hatch same as you here in Australia. On my first ever time incubating, got 22 out of 32. That's not bad. Jay says, styrofoam incubator user here. Can't wait to get my Barado. Lumia. Yeah, the Lumia is really good. I like it. I like both of them. I like the Real 49 and I like the Lumia. But yeah, I mean, the styrofoam incubators, I've used them for a while. What happened? Okay. Where's Jay's comment? Oh, there it is. Yeah, the styrofoams work. And like Kiki says, that's all she uses, and she does really great with them. So, Feather Homestead says, what would be the best water feeder, cheapest DIY project for an aviary? Right now, I am using a 1 gallon poultry water. just because it's very convenient for me to fill up and just throw out there for the birds. One, because I don't have a ton of birds out there, but I do plan on reinstalling a gravity-fed watering system out there using the 5-gallon bucket. I had one out there when I first built the aviary. I put the gravity feed water system in it, but I had the vertical nipples and they were leaking like a sieve. So when I modified the aviary by lifting it up, I took out that watering system, and the reason for lifting it up was I wanted to go to the deep litter method. So enough about that stuff. But yeah, I would go with well, the cheapest is going to be your 1-gallon can waters. A little bit more money, you can go with, you know, a gravity fed system. It's not going to cost you a whole lot more, and you won't have to. Here's your Kiki again. You won't have to fill it as often. Kiki says, I can't do the drama. I like to cut up and have fun. Yep, I hear you, Kiki. It seems like you can't say anything anymore without somebody taking it the wrong way. I've been accused of some stuff you don't even want to know about, and I said, show me where I said that, you know, and that never came out of my mouth. So yeah, there's an awful lot of drama on Facebook. We were having some drama issues in Coturnix Corner Facebook group page, and I actually shut it down for 24 hours. I gave everybody a timeout. I rewrote the rules to be, you know, a little bit more specific on what you can get kicked out of the group for, and what we allow, what we don't allow. But yeah, just why does there have to be drama? Can't stand it. Rainbow Magic Treasure Chest says Kiki's just embarrassed. Backyard Chickens is 100% owned and run by her. I would know. I own and run Kiki. There you go. That's great. All right, guys, it is 9 o'clock. We are at the bottom of our questions. So I just want to say thanks to everyone that joined us tonight. I hope you guys got, you know, a little bit of information and enjoyment out of watching the build video, and, you know, give you an idea on stuff that you can do, projects that you can do for yourself. We will be going live again next week. I'm going to switch it back to Fridays. Today was kind of a bye week because of, or a bye day because of my vehicle breaking down, and I had to take yesterday off. But we're going to go back to Friday, 7:30 p.m. next week. I'll announce the topic later on this week in the Facebook group page, Coturnix Corner. Don't forget to join us this coming Tuesday on the Coturnix Corner live. Guest Kenny Mitchell is coming on. Kenny's a great guy. He's quite the character. I'm bringing him back on because Kenny's got a whole lot of new things going on in his life right now, and I want to give him the opportunity to share that with you guys. So Coturnix Corner live Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the next Shop Talk. And again, I want to thank all you guys for joining us. I want to thank you for you know, all the great questions. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next week.